Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on ground-up construction loans, what every real estate professional needs to know. So we want this to be as engaging for you as possible. So as questions come up, please go ahead and ask them, use the little questions function, and we will get this answered for you. With that, I would like to turn it over to today's speaker, Jim. Good morning. Go ahead and say hello.
Good morning, everyone across the US of A. There were two people on this call, myself and Doug. He'll join us here in a moment. But with that said, let's talk about ground up financing for new homes, working with investors. But first off, who the heck is LendSure Home Loans? Founded 10 years ago, a lender doing primarily a wholesale business with mortgage banks and mortgage brokers throughout America, underwriting non-QM loans, self-employed loans using bank statements is our primary product. We've been doing that for about 10 years. We got into fix and flip financing and ground up financing business about 3 years ago. We're headquartered here in San Diego, highly experienced management team. That just means we're all getting old, but we've been around together for, some of us have been together 25 years. Next slide, that's enough on LendSure. What do we do? I mentioned these property are non-QM lending, self-employed investors. This also says fix and flip. Loan terms for 30 years. It can be an interest only for 10 years. We can also go up, get to a 10-year interest only period with a 30-year fixed for a 40-year loan. Next slide. We are a ground up construction lender today that also has non-QM products. Today's focus will be just one product. That'll be the ground up construction lending that we do for builders.
So Jim, when we say non-QM, just to reiterate what we said, it's basically anything that's not a conforming, not anything that you would find at your local broker or bank.
Yes, it might be, it's a Fannie Mae near miss. It could be very close to approved at the bank. It might be a debt ratio issue using their tax returns. It might be 51% DTI. For self-employed folks, we can use 12 or 24 months of bank statements. And if those deposits are correct, we can write the loan using bank statements. So they're bank near misses. The non-QM doesn't mean we're doing loans to people with bad credit. We do require good credit on all of our programs.
Yeah. So in other words, if a realtor is working with a financing partner that they trust, that they work with, they can still work with them. It's just that we do the kinds of loans that they normally cannot, like loans for self-employed, ground up, etc.
Correct.
Okay. So I'd like to introduce.
Is Doug live?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Doug. Please take it away.
Okay. Yeah, just to give you a little bit of background on me, I know I missed that first slide in there. I've been doing mortgage underwriting for about 25 years. Got into the sales side of it here. I enjoy this. I did my own build house that I did a few years ago. So I enjoy this opportunity, and I enjoy looking at scenarios and running scenarios with you. So this opportunity that we have here with the ground up is really nice because, like I said, it's really contingent on the scenario and the property. We don't really care about income. So, occasionally we'll look at something if we have a doctor making $5.5 or, making $500,000 a year, that's something we can use as a compensating factor for making an exception. But really, we don't have any income docs. We're not requiring 1040s. We're not requiring pay stubs or W-2s or any of that. So there's less red tape for you. It's able to be done a lot quicker and a lot easier. One of the unique things on this is if they already own the lot, we can do a scenario where there's really no money down and you can get cash back at closing. So it's something that's a little unique there because a lot of our other competitors may finance 100% of the budget, but they won't give you any money up front to start with, or they won't give you any money to cover the closing costs. And so we will run scenarios where we will provide cash back on a lot that they already own. Most of the local builders, they're looking at going with the banks first and trying to, get something done that way. And occasionally they run into issues with income or DTIs or something like that. And, we can get around those things. And so this is something that you can use with your local builders. They can do this on, 2, 3, 4 deals and really have the ability to get their projects off the ground, get their projects completed and move there. Now, when somebody does have something where it's like a 20-unit subdivision and they need a, $20 million loan, that's something that really is going to have to go through a bank. It's something that's outside of what our normal purvey is. We like to work with some of the smaller builders, the guys doing, 3, 4, 5, 6 deals a year. And working on 1 or 2 projects at a time and things like that. We love this opportunity. Yeah.
Before we go to the next slide, I want you to clarify. You said cash back on a lot, which would be a refinance type loan, right? Because they already own the lot. So you're doing cash back on a lot where there's no house.
Correct.
Okay, Doug, that's pretty aggressive. That's a good thing. Let's go to the next slide.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and like I said, we like this and we think it's a great opportunity. This is something that's really hot right now. There's a lot of people that are getting into this market because there's money to be made. I think Jim will show you on another slide, the average returns on these things are like 30%. So there's a lot of opportunities there. There's also a lot of things right now where there's limited inventory, so there's not a lot of existing houses. I mean, not a lot of people are trying to refinance out of their 3% rates and go into 6% rates to get, $100 grand to try and do something. So we have a fairly strong job market. Things on the economic side, are looking positive for some of the real estate and things, and those values keep going up. And so we're doing that. Now we're doing these also as business loans. So the regulatory environment is a little less limited. And so we don't deal with TRID. We don't deal with a lot of the disclosures and a lot of the paperwork. So, that doesn't really impact you guys as realtors as much, but it does allow for deals to go through a lot smoother and a lot quicker.
Well, what's in it for me? That WIIFM, I think that was invented by Doug. What's in it for me? So if I would refer an investor friend of mine over for a construction loan or a fix and flip loan, what's in it for the realtor? Well, commission pay on the sale of the property, maybe to help buy it and also to help sell it. There'll be 2 commissions. The unique thing about these investors, they're not one and done. They don't get a 30-year loan at 3% and then camp out on it. So you're going to see more and more business from the same person because they never stop on one project. We're now at the point where we're on our 5th loan with some investors who come to us 5 times on 5 different projects. The properties are sold as is. When it's a fix and flip scenario, you're not dealing with requests for repairs. Helps speed that process on fix and flips. These business guys that do these loans are very non-emotional. They just come up with a number they're going to pay. They go forward or they don't. It's an easy decision for them to make. It's a fast decision. The approval ratio is higher simply because we don't run a DTI analysis. We may ask where they work or how much they make, but that's the extent. So it's an easy loan for a realtor to refer and get paid on and repeat business. They will come back to you time and time again.
Not only that is that, the ground up and investor community, they all kind of know each other. So once you do one, you may get known in the community and say, oh yeah, no, I got a realtor that helped me with this deal. And so you may get not just repeat business for that one investor, you may get business from referral sources for years to come.
Is that one you, Doug, or me?
That's you,
I think
Jim.
that one's you. Yeah.
Well, real quick. So some of the ground rules on the ground up. We don't do these loans yet for owner-occupied purposes. These are investor loans. Small builders that build on spec, or they may build to hold the house and rent it out. We could do these up to a 4-unit. We don't get into the 5 and 10 unit projects at this time. The average return on these ground up, it seems like the last 5 deals we've seen, the lot prices are 300,000 on average. The cost to build is 400,000. So we're looking at hard cost of 300 to buy it, $400,000 to build it, 700,000. There's a term in our business called ARB. What's the ARB? ARB, after repair or after build value. So think about 300 for the lot, 400 to build it, 700 in. The list price on those, 1.2, 1.1, 1.250. So you're thinking, wow, there's about $400,000, $500,000 there in profit spread. There is, and that's what we see. Now that's gross revenue, 500,000. There are costs to sell the property and to maintain the property, paying everything from utility bills to property tax. But returns on these are easily, we see $200,000 to $300,000 net returns to builders. Very good business to get yourself involved in. Next slide.
Davey?
Leverage. So when builders call us, investors call, one of their first questions, and these guys don't focus on interest rate, but these are 12 and 18-month loans. It's a quick term. They're not interest rate centric. They are interested in how much money can I get out of Doug Dabney at Lynn Sure? How much money can I get from Rose Waldy at Lynn Sure so I don't have to use my money? Meaning leverage. They want to leverage our funds. So investors that have active stock, bonds, investment accounts with a return, we say, leave that money alone. They agree, continue getting that return. So they say, how much can I get, Doug, from you guys? Well, Doug would say on a new build, up to 85% of the cost of the project, meaning that's 700,000, 300K to buy the house or the lot, 400K to build it, 700K amount times 85%, meaning they're only coming out of pocket with 15%. Again, target customers, smaller builders. We're not dealing with the big guys that build 5,000 houses a year. Target locations, urban, semi-urban America. We operate in basically all 50 states. We've yet to close a new build in Alaska, but we're looking forward to our first one. We do require properties to be located somewhat near a job market. We say population base of 50,000 or more. So we're looking at them hard to find a way to do the loan, but very rural, very out there in the middle of nowhere. We can't provide financing for properties because of a lack of buyers in that market once it's built. Any questions so far, Rose?
None yet, but guys, as questions come up, please go ahead and use the little questions tab, and I will ask the speakers on your behalf. Doug?
All right. Yeah, just a couple little rules of the road, if you will, the basic guidelines that we're looking at. Like Jem mentioned, we're not doing these on primary residences right now, so they're investment properties only, no second homes. It's really just business purpose, and that's how we, don't do some of the regulation or some of the disclosures and things like that. Our loan amounts generally run anywhere from 200,000 up to 3 million. We've done a few that are over 3 million, but our guidelines generally run anywhere from 200 to 3 million. So you can read the things that are on here. We like to, when we're doing ground up construction, one of the things that we want to make sure of is that you're ready to go with permits and plans. We don't want to be financing just vacant land and have it sit there for 3-4 months while you're working on a permit process or while your investor's working on a permit process. So a lot of times that's why, if they already own the lot, we're willing to give them some cash back out of it because we want to make sure that they went ahead and got the lot done so that they can work on the plans and permits. I am seeing a few of these where, the investor has a relationship with the seller and they've been working on the plans and permits. And so they're going to be drawn within, 20 days, 25 days or something like that, and they get the final sign off. So in that type of scenario, we can do the loan, we'll get ready to fund, and we'll just wait until the actual final permits are signed off before we go ahead and do that. We do like to have, obviously, utilities to the lot. again, we'll do cash out on the purchase price of the lot, what they paid for it, up to 60% of the purchase price. The average cost to build, like what Jim said there, our cash out, our loan amount, including the budget, we can go up to 85%. So that gives a pretty good chunk of change, and we fund those on a prorated basis. So, if we're funding 85% of the budget and, they're doing a $100,000 draw, then we'll fund 85,000 and they'll fund the other 15 as we go along. We also make sure, yeah.
That house there on the slide that you're looking at.
Yeah.
Do we not provide any financing for landscaping? That house needs some landscaping.
If it's on that line item budget, a lot of times, yeah, you'll get a little bit, but yeah, we didn't do any on this particular house. We did the little balcony on the side and we did the front porch, but they had some pavers that they put down in the front, but we took those off because it just didn't look right.
Next slide.
Next slide. I got a couple of questions. Yes, okay. I will be sending you guys I've got a couple of people asking me this. Yes, I will be sending you a copy of the slides, so you don't have to worry about taking notes. And yes, this is being recorded. And yes, I will send you a copy of the recording. Look for an email from me, Rose Maldi, about an hour after the webinar ends, and you can feel free to share that information as well. And it says another question about lot purchase. It says you gave CAT reimbursed for lots, but what if somebody wants to purchase a lot to build on?
Again, it's the same type of thing. What we like to do, we don't really do vacant land financing. So it would depend on where they are in the permit process. If it's just they're looking at vacant lots and they haven't done anything with the permit process, and the permit process is going to take them 4 to 6 months, then that's not going to be something we do. We're going to want them to go ahead and buy the lot, get the permits ready to go, and then we'll give them some cash back out when we close our loan to help offset that cost of the lot, so that they can then use those funds to start doing the build and everything like that. But if there's no permits or no plans that are ready to go, then we wouldn't want to do just a straight finance on the vacant lot.
Okay, and I see a couple of people have a little hands up thing. So please go ahead and use the questions box to ask your question, and I will be happy to answer it on your behalf. Doug?
Okay, so the other thing that we do on these is, like I said, they're business purpose loans. So we close all of these loans in an LLC. We don't have any seasoning requirements for the LLC. So if they want to set up a single entity LLC to fund this particular deal, they can do that. Like I said, we don't have any seasoning requirement. If they already have something that's set up and there's one person in the LLC, then we make the loan to that one person via the LLC. If there's 2 or 3 people in the LLC, then all 3 of them would have to sign docs and sign the term sheet that we send out. Jim mentioned earlier that we do a 12 to 18 month term. The reason for that is, on some of these ground up constructions, it might take a little bit longer. When you got a budget of $500,000 or $600,000 and you're not the Covanians of the world or the big builders, stuff like that, this might take them 10, 11, 12 months, and then it's going to take them a couple of months to get the property sold. So in those scenarios, if we can set you up at 18 months, we'd rather do that than put it at 12 and then try and work on getting extensions after the fact. They're all lender funded draws. We do have inspections that go out. We don't require receipts or anything like that. All we do is require that the inspector goes out and the inspector says, yep, that work that you had on your budget is all done. And so you can release these funds, and these funds. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and, if we financed 100% of the budget, then we'll finance, we'll release 100% of that in the wire minus a $150 inspection fee. But
hey, yeah. On a draw, what do you typically see? What do we typically see as the first item that the builder requests a draw for? What job item do they ask us for money first?
On ground up construction, usually it's reimbursement for doing permits and plans, and then we get into grading and then foundation and all of that.
Correct. Plans and foundation. We tell people when that foundation's poured and the concrete's still wet, apply for your draw. That day. Do not wait.
Yep.
Jim?
So here's a very busy slide that we're not going to go through on this call, but anyone that wants to really get into the weeds and the strict details of how these loans work in terms of what percentage can I get towards the lot, what percentage can I get towards the build, what's it look like total, what's my interest rate, what's my origination fees. Call us, call Doug. Doug will put out today your phone number. Call Doug when you got a ground up situation. He loves to take calls. He loves to talk.
Sometimes too much.
Guys, I have a question about DSCR. For investment multifamily 1 to 4 unit financing, do you require income proof or will you consider DSCR criteria?
Two answers. So on a new build of a 1 to 4, we'll finance that just in our normal construction process. On a 1 to 4 unit that's going to be held for rent and it's already built, then that becomes simply a DSCR loan based on the rents of the property. That's a slightly different loan than a construction loan, but we'll do either case, built or unbuilt.
Okay.
So Doug, why got you? I'm thinking of it. Tell us your phone number in case one of these folks wants to call you on a project. What's your number?
858-500-5794.
And if you guys, if you don't remember that, you can just respond to the email that you get in about an hour. And that's going to go directly to me and I will get our fix and flip financing and our ground up construction team to contact you right away.
Okay.
Okay. So this one's back to me. So now on this particular slide, we've got some requirements that we like to have. And, you know, for most of our ground up construction, we like to have somebody who's got some experience. So they've been able to do some of these things. So this says, you know, 3 new builds experience in the last 3 years. So that's kind of an ideal type of situation. And that gets us to our, you know, our maximum 85% cost to build. If they have less than that, we will consider those. We'll actually consider somebody doing their first time ground up construction. We do have some other restrictions on first timers, but if somebody's done 1 or 2 and we can, you know, verify them, you know, with public records that, you know, the house has been built, the house is sold, you know, that type of stuff, then we can try and do maybe 80% of the cost to build. So, you know, there's a few different areas that we go there with some of the different experience levels. But again, at the end of the day, the maximum that we have is 85% of that cost to build. So that's that lot purchase price plus the budget and 85%. Again, we talked about the plans and permits and we want to make sure that those are ready to go and you're ready to break ground. Make sure that they have utilities at the curb. We don't want to be doing something out in, you know, upper Michigan that has nothing anywhere near it or anything like that. We prefer to be infill, so we prefer to be, you know, if there's a scenario where it's in town and there just happens to be a vacant lot in between 2 other houses and they want to build it, hey, that's our bread and butter that we do on something like that. And then, like I said, we do basically also make sure that based on that as-built value, that we're not exceeding 70% of that as-built value, again, the 85%, and then we've got a maximum of 5,000 square feet for the design and build, but again, a lot of our loans have exceptions on them, and that's one that we do fairly regularly if they're building one higher than that. Okay, go ahead, Jim. What's your question?
I know you'll answer this one. Where it says infill location, what do you see as the 3 most important things in real estate?
Location, location, location. I think these guys all know that.
I knew you knew. I knew you would know. Okay, let's go to the next slide.
Is this one me?
Yes.
Okay, so on these ground up constructions, it really goes back to what I was mentioning before of a limited inventory out there right now. So, you know, there's obviously a lack of homes right now. So this gives opportunities for your investors if they can get lots that they can go ahead and build these lots and they can sell these new construction homes. And there's a lot of that is needed out there for people to be able to buy homes and move into them. So you know, we do that. We also allow you to hold it. So, you know, one of the great ways to build equity, you know, build your portfolio, if you will, is that we do have some of these investors that build these homes with no intent to sell them. they're just going to go ahead and rent them. And I think what Rose mentioned earlier, there were some questions about DSCR loans. So let's say we do a construction loan and they get the home built and then say, hey, I'm going to rent this out because the rents have skyrocketed and I can make more money doing that. And that way I can build my portfolio. Then by all means, we go ahead and do that. We put you in touch with somebody on our non-QM side. They do the DSCR loan, which doesn't include, again, the income. It's just based on the rents of the property. And we do that. This allows the smaller builders to start expanding their portfolios, allows them to make a little bit more money and do things like that. Can we also see some demand for 2 to 4 units? Absolutely. There's a lot of these where, people are building, 4 townhomes right next to each other on one lot. And, we'll finance that and do that also. Does this turn into repeat business? Absolutely. Once these developers do this and these investors find out that, hey, this person will do this type of financing, okay, let me go back in. And then they start, like you said, on some of these forums that you'll see later, is you're going to see that these people talk. And so if they know that, John Smith, the realtor, is able to handle fix and flip financing or ground up construction and do things with the lot and get me on the lot and get me pointed down the right road to get this going so I can get something built, they're going to all be coming to you. So it's something that we provide a lot of marketing and stuff, and I know Rose will talk about that too, but we do provide a lot of flyers to give you some details on that business so that we can help you market that. And Jim, you got a question?
Not a question, Doug, but a trend. I want to speak to an interesting true story. This is happening. We've noticed this trend in Florida and now 2 in Pacific Palisades here in California. And these are after natural disasters. In Florida, if I've seen 10, I've seen 100 loans requests in the last 2 or 3, 4 months. Come through the doors on a house that had a flood situation due to the hurricanes in Florida. Ian was a big one. And you'll see a picture of the property with the drywall cut 3 feet up high off the floor. And the house has been flooded, so they're putting in drywall, of course, new floors, new cabs, new counters. It's a flood fix situation. Often, and I'm kind of curious to find out more about this, the people looking for that loan lived in the property. They're not moving back in. They request a loan to rebuild, of course, and hold and rent. So they're turning them into rental properties. The 2 inquiries from the Palisades was just that. They're going to rebuild and rent. As Doug mentioned, we don't do owner-occupied yet. But that hold and rent trend is real. I'm not sure what's driving it other than the client says, I want to keep this house, make it into a cash flow situation and rebuild somewhere else with my insurance money. So they get their insurance check, but they're using that money to go build a house somewhere else. Interesting trend.
Yep, and that's like what we mentioned, is that's a short-term look at it. It's a short-term way to make some money and get and fix and flip the property or build and flip the property. Take that insurance money, build somewhere else, something like that. But in the long run, if you can hold on to some of these and start building a portfolio of 10 or 20 rental properties, you're gonna be able to do that. And we like to see that because that means somebody's got assets, somebody's got the ability to be able to handle this, and they've done this before. So.
Next slide.
Doug?
Oh, Doug will do this one real quick.
Yeah, you guys don't really need to worry about this. The funding process basically is, once we get a term sheet, we go through the whole approval process. We do a lot of that up front because really all we're looking at is the property information, assets for the borrower, and the purchase price and budget and all of that. So once we get all of that done, we send the term sheet out, they sign that, we order the appraisal. While we're waiting for the appraisal, we get the LLC documents, we get insurance, title, all of that, and then we're ready to close and we're ready to fund. So it's a pretty simple, straightforward process. We tell people 30 days, but realistically in 10 to 15 business days, we can get these done if somebody's responsive and they're sending in the few items that we need. It's not like a long laundry list, but things like IDs and social security cards and LLC paperwork, they're fairly simple to get. And once we have all of that stuff, we can get these things funded pretty quick.
Doug, we have a question. One sec, Jim, let me just ask this question. What do you really verify for the borrower? If you don't verify income or employment, what is it that you're verifying?
Assets. Really, that's the one thing that we verify for the borrower is assets. We want to make sure that they have enough. We want to make sure that they have enough money to get the project completed. So if we're funding 85% of the budget, we're going to verify that they have 15% of the budget in reserves that they can use to pay the other 15%. We also verify 6 months worth of payment reserves. Our loans, like you said, are 12 to 18 months. They're interest only. So, you know, the payment itself would just be an interest only payment. So it could be, you know, anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000. So they might have to show 30,000 in reserves on top of the 15% of the remaining budget. And that's really it. If we need to show some of the cash out that we gave them at the beginning when they, you know, they had already purchased a lot, and so we were giving them cash back, then we can look at doing that too. So, but to answer the question, ideally, really, it's assets. I mean, you know, we'll verify a purchase price, we'll verify, you know, public records, the ownership, the LLC, all of that. But as far as employment and income, there is no DTI, so there's no reason for income. I will tell people that we will look at a credit report and see that, you know, if you write that the guy's a doctor, we want to see some kind of medical thing on the credit report, just verifying that that's their type of employment. But other than that, that's really all we do.
Hey, Doug, since you said the word reserves,
Mhm.
let's talk about this now real quick. And we're getting towards the end of this, so people can get back to selling houses. The reserve thing is required 6 months. However, we do a favor for the investors. We call it interest reserves. 6 payments on a $1 million loan can be $15,000 a month. That could be $90,000 over a 6-month period. Lyncher's got a program where we will write into the loan, provide the $90,000, hold it in escrow, and those funds are used to make the payment on behalf of the investor. So there's 6 months into the deal, they haven't made us a payment. They can focus on the project and not worry about coming up with $15,000 out of their checking account to send Doug a check. So the interest reserve thing is 9 out of 10 investors will take it. Again, they want to use our money for maximum leverage.
Yep. And like you said, Jim, if we're not financing 100% of the budget, then yeah, it's really nice to be able to not have to worry about making a payment if they're having to pay part of that budget on a prorated basis as they go along. So if we are funding 100% of the budget, I mean, theoretically, if you really want to think about it, we could fund 100% of the budget. We could give them cash back on the lot, depending on how much the lot was originally when they purchase it, but we could finance 100% of the budget. We can give them cash back on the lot purchase, and we could do an interest reserve for financing. So theoretically, they could build this entire thing without putting another dollar out of their pocket after they purchase the lot.
Doug, that's huge niches and advantages for the investor. So you better say it one more time. Tell them your phone number. 858.
Yeah, 858-500-5794. And like I said, there's a scenario that we can work this up to where they're not putting any money out of their pocket once they've purchased the lot. If they own the lot, we can give them cash back for the lot purchase for part of it. They would still have some equity in the lot, obviously, but we would give them some cash back that would cover the closing costs. We'd give them some money to start with the construction, finance 100% of the budget, and do an interest reserve. And all of a sudden, you know, like I said, they're not paying any money out of pocket. They get this thing built and they sell it and they pay everything off and they walk away with cash.
Next slide.
858-500-5794.
Oh, there, Rose is
And as a reminder, I am sending you a copy of these slides. I know that we've got a lot of information that's written down here. Don't worry about taking notes. I'm going to send you the recording. I'm going to send you a copy of your slide deck so that you have everything. This is an actual screen grab that I made, and I think it was just construction lenders or investment property. And this is just on Facebook. But if you look on this, these are all groups. These are all groups where you have investors, house flippers, people who do ground up construction, people who do rental properties, that all they do is these investment property loans. This is a huge opportunity for you to get your foot in this market. They post on there, they ask questions, they ask for referrals. This is a great opportunity for you to go in there and become the subject matter subject matter expert on helping them finance and find these wonderful properties.
A SME, SME, a SME.
A SME.
Subject matter expert. Jim, do you want to talk about the application, the quick and simple and easy one?
How do you apply? How would you even find Doug to apply for a loan? Well, once you call that 858 number or send him an email, ddaphne@lensure.com, he's going to hook you up with a link. That link he's going to send you is an application link that will take you to this screen. And you simply grab your cursor and you type in there, consumer investor, click, and that'll take you to the next step, 2, step 3. So it's an online application. It's 8 steps total. Probably fill that out in about 12 minutes. Once you hit submit, you'll get a response. The minute you get the response, Doug is pegged as well, and he's going to see that application coming in and the phone call back to you. And the investor will begin to go over term sheet terms. So simple process, online application, no 1003, no URLA, not that typical bank stuff you run into with loan officers.
And
Less paperwork.
Tim,
I was
I
just
called
gonna
my
add real
husband
quick.
said, that's so funny.
I was just going to say the same thing that Jim was just saying there. The nice thing is this isn't a full URLA or a 1003. So a lot of your investors who have, you know, a lot of wealthy investors typically like to keep a lot of things private. And so this gives them an opportunity to do something like this without having to provide their tax returns, without having to provide, you know, their firstborn kid, without having to provide all of that information in detail. Really, it's just assets and then LLC paperwork, which was all public records anyway. So, you know, they can keep a lot of their stuff private and not have to worry about it.
And then once they fill out their application, how long until they get see a actual term sheet?
Probably about 3 months.
3 months?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
They don't know us, Doug. You can't joke like that.
I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. No, you fill out this application, it comes into our portal, and then it should get assigned to me probably within an hour or two. And then I try and give you a call that same day that it came in. And usually within 24 hours of your initial submission, we'll try and have a term sheet out to you. Basically, when I call you, I just want to make sure that I have all the details straight. I have everything in there because, like I said, there are certain things on there like, you know, what did they pay for the lot? When did they buy the lot? Have they put any money into it already? What's the as-is value? So there's some things that, you know, might have a little bit of a, you know, clarification process. But once we have all that information, then we go ahead and get you that term sheet out within 24 hours if it's something that we can do. And then, you know, like I said, we go from there.
So Doug, you do the heavy lifting, Jim does the heavy lifting on this stuff. The realtor doesn't need to be like, you know, involved in that process. Is that correct?
Yeah, no. We're gonna when you fill this out, or when your investor fills it out and they do the, you know, they're a consumer investor, I'm gonna go ahead and call them and you know, because really as a realtor, you're just worrying about getting the sale done. And so, you know, if they're ready to go, you know, they put that information in, and, you know, we're going to move quickly so that you can get your commission for the sale of it. Jim mentioned earlier some of these properties in Florida where, you know, they had some flood damage, so there's already a structure on the property. You know, that's something that, you know, we close on those real fast. So, you know, those are things that we can do too. So you can make sure that you facilitate your sale. And like I said, it's something where we don't have to require 42 different pieces of information in order to be able to get, you know, to get the deal closed and get you paid.
Okay.
There's 3 milestones that we would inform the realtor, or real estate agent. We would inform you, Mr. Realtor, of 3 critical steps. When the term sheet is out and signed by your investor, you know that's back to us, it's signed. That's the investor's intent. They want to go forward with the terms. They want to move, start the appraisal process. We do ask for an appraisal to get a after rehab value. So you're notified when it's clear to close. You're going to get a notification that the loan is now, all conditions are in. And of course, at day of funding, which is a payday liquidity event for you, you're aware of when it's closing. Title may actually come from you. We don't have an in-house title company. We don't refer to title companies. You can use the title company that you're accustomed to using with LendSure.
And this is a guide that I put together especially for realtors. This thing is designed for realtors. It's got the information that's going to be relevant to you. Please feel there. I'm going to send you a link to download this thing. It's like 28 pages. It's huge, but it's an easy read, and it goes through not just ground up and fix and flip, but all other different kinds of programs that we have for the buyers that you see every day, self-employed borrowers, foreign national buyers, loans for specialty loan programs such as condotels. We offer condotel financing. So it takes you through all of the different financing options that are available outside of your typical Fannie Mae funding. So if you've got your guy that does your Fannie Freddie loan and you send him, it's a broker and you send him your business every day, that's great, awesome. Because these are the programs that we offer that fall outside of that. So we do a lot of exceptions. We do a lot of tricky things, common sense lending. So all of that information is on here. So I encourage you to download it and at least flip through it. This is another resource that I put together for you guys. LendSureHomeLoans.com resources. This is our realtor resource center. This has got a ton of stuff. It's got a link to the white paper. It's got a link to a bunch of flyers that are available to you, infographics about the different market opportunities, about the different programs that we have, and some videos with actual scenarios that we have funded so that you can kind of see everything from bridge financing, investment property financing that's just based on, rents in, payments out, DSCR, super easy peasy. So this is an easy way for you guys to familiarize yourself with these programs. All right.
Before that, Rose, I want to talk about interest rates. Always comes up, even though they're short-term loans, some investors don't even ask, but many do. So construction loans, fix and flip financing, riskier deals because what we're lending on is not very good collateral in the beginning. Sometimes it's no collateral. So rates run on these programs 9.5 on the low side to on riskier deals up to as high as 11.5. Beauty is it's a 1-year loan, but those are the prices on this kind of financing. We always ask a new build investor that's coming in, when you went to the bank, because they're at 8% for a construction loan, we're at 9.5 or more. We always ask them why they're here, and we get all kinds of reasons, and we share those with our marketing people as well. But they're here for a reason. Yes, they try a bank first, they can't get the loan, and they're coming to folks like LendSure, and they're calling Doug Dabney at 858.
500-5794.
Okay, any final questions, Rose?
I have a couple of different questions on ADUs. How many ADUs can you finance on one lot? Can you finance ADU new builds?
Okay, that's a little more complex. The new build ADU situation gets a little complicated if the owner of the lot lives in what I call the main house, or the property that's out front, and the owner of the house seeks to build 2 ADUs in the backyard to increase cash flow and collect rents. As Doug mentioned, we don't do owner occupied at this time, so I can't do that loan if they live on the APN or live on the parcel. If in fact the house out front is a rental and they're collecting rents, now they want to build 2 ADUs or 3 or 4, very common in San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, big business these days. If it's all rental income, yes, we can finance the construction cost to build ADUs in the house. You see conversion. I want to turn my garage into an ADU. We finance that as long as the main house is not owner occupied.
Okay, and
So
I have a question.
Just real quick, along those same lines, Jim, because I mean, obviously we're talking with realtors, so we're talking about they're looking at buying a vacant lot and maybe putting 4 ADUs on there, and not have a main house or something like that. So, or maybe they're going to build a main house and put 3 ADUs behind it, something like that, because of the laws here in California allow for additional ADUs on the properties. So, it's something where if you have an investor who's looking to put 3-4 units on each property that they buy, that's something that we can do.
Okay, great. Can you finance payments into the loan?
Doug, go, interest reserves.
Yeah, we talked about interest reserves. And so if we're doing something where, they want to go ahead and add the interest reserve to the loan amount, we can finance that in, and they won't have to be making payments for 6 months or 8 months while they go through and do the build. So the answer to the question is yes, we can.
As long as you do not exceed 80 blank
85.
percent.
Right.
85 tops.
Okay, and will you do purchases where we need the purchase done before they get any permits or plans together?
Again, that's something that I had mentioned earlier, where, we don't want to do lending on just a vacant lot. So we want to make sure that, the permits and plans are ready to go. They're ready to break ground. We can get everything done up to that point, but when we actually fund the loan, we would want to make sure that the permits and plans are done, signed off, and ready to go.
Fantastic.
And Doug, from the investor side, they, in 99% of the cases, they don't want to close prematurely, simply paying us interest on a cash advance. But they still can't begin construction. They have the plans, but they're waiting on the city or the local authorities for that final permit. While they're waiting on that, they want to pay Doug Dabney and Rose Waldy 9.5% interest. In most cases, they don't want to pay us interest when they can't start the project. So it protects them too.
Okay. Do you finance in all 50 states?
Yes, we do. One caveat.
We haven't done them up in Alaska. I know you've
not allowed to do. We don't do any loans because of our investors. I'm not sure the details, but we don't do loans in the 5 boroughs of New York City. Everywhere else we're good. We like Wyoming, we like Louisiana. It's 5 boroughs. We can't sell them any loans in that part of the world. I don't know why. We just can't. Next.
All right. Well, with that, if any other questions come up, please go ahead and respond to the email from me, Rose Waldy, that you're going to get in about an hour. I'll be happy to have them answered for you. I'll be happy to connect you directly with Doug or Jim and answer any general questions that you may have. With that, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us today on today's webinar. Jim, do you have any parting words?
I want Doug to get the landscaping completed around that house. Hey, thanks for your time.
I'll see if I can get it financed.
Doug, any parting words?
No, I just appreciate you taking your time. We do appreciate you guys. We know you guys drive a lot of business. It's a hard job being a realtor out there right now, limited inventory. So you got to find different ways to generate deals and all of that. So anything we can do to help you do that, we would love to be able to help. We look forward to doing that.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.